Okay, so get this, listeners. You sent us a ton of research on AI and medicine,
Yeah, tons.
specifically how it can help doctors diagnose diseases.
It's really exciting stuff,
So we're doing a deep dive into automatic differential diagnosis.
which is a mouthful.
It is, but it's really fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
So are you ready to kind of jump in?
Absolutely. What's so cool about this research is it tackles differential diagnosis, DDX for short,
Okay.
which is like the core of how doctors figure out what's wrong with a patient.
It's like detective work for doctors. Right?
Yeah,
The
exactly.
patient comes in, they've got all these symptoms, and the doctor has to figure out what the real problem is.
Exactly. And sometimes it's not a straightforward path, especially with rare diseases
Oh, yeah.
where the symptoms can be super tricky or they look like something else that's way more common.
Right.
It's a process of elimination, gathering information, and then refining those possibilities.
And the research you sent really highlights how this traditional process, this DDX, can be really complex and time-consuming. It's not a one and done.
Yeah.
It often takes multiple steps, and you have to reevaluate as you go. So how does AI even help with something this complex?
That's where this new AI framework, MEDDxAgent, comes in.
Okay,
It's designed to basically be a doctor's sidekick during this whole process.
I like that.
And what's really cool is that it's built to be modular and explainable.
Okay, so modular, so it's like different pieces all working together.
Yeah.
And explainable, meaning we can actually understand how it's making decisions.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
got to be huge for doctors, like trusting this thing.
Oh, absolutely. It's all about building that confidence in AI's role in healthcare.
Right.
So let's break down those modules.
Okay.
So MEDDxAgent has three main parts. The first is the history-taking simulator, and this is where things get really mind-blowing.
Okay, so this is like AI literally stepping into the doctor's role.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, walk me through this.
So it uses two large language models, or LLMs.
Okay.
One acts as the doctor, the other is the patient.
Got it.
And they have a conversation, just like in a real medical consultation.
Wow.
The doctor LLM asks questions, gathers information, and even asks follow-up questions based on the patient's responses.
So it's not just crunching data, it's like learning and adapting as it goes.
That's exactly right.
Kind of like a real doctor would, like in a conversation.
Exactly. And remember how we talked about DDX being an iterative process?
Yeah.
The simulator lets the AI gather information and then refine its understanding over time, just like a human doctor would.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay,
Yeah.
so what happens next? Where does all this information go?
Well, that's where the second part of MEDDxAgent comes in, the knowledge retrieval agent. This is where the AI puts on its research hat.
So it's like it's got a super-powered medical library at its fingertips?
You got it. It searches huge databases like PubMed and Wikipedia, and it pulls out the most relevant medical information based on what it learned about the patient.
Okay.
And this is crucial for, those rare diseases we mentioned,
Yeah,
where keeping up to date on the research is so important.
absolutely.
So we have the AI gathering information and doing research.
Right.
The third part is the diagnosis strategy agent. This is where all that gathered information comes together.
Okay.
The patient's history, the relevant medical knowledge, it all gets put together.
Mm-hmm.
And then the agent creates a list of possible diagnoses,
Okay.
right from the most likely to the least likely.
So not just like a random list, it's like a carefully thought out ranking.
Yeah, exactly.
How does it even do that?
It uses something called a dynamic few-shot learning approach.
Okay.
So instead of just relying on its general knowledge, it actually looks for similar patient cases.
So it's like learning from experience.
Yeah.
Like a doctor would over years and years of practice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a key part of what makes the MEDDxAgent so powerful.
That's fascinating. Okay, so we've got these three powerful parts. The simulator, the researcher, and the strategist. But how do they all work together? Who's like the boss?
Well, that's where DDxDriver comes in.
Okay.
It's like the conductor of the whole AI orchestra.
I like these analogies.
It manages the patient profile, makes sure each agent is doing its job, and guides the system towards a potential diagnosis.
So it's making sure everything's running smoothly. The AI isn't just a bunch of parts working on their own.
Exactly. And another crucial thing it does is ensure transparency. Every step is logged and documented.
Oh, wow.
So doctors can see exactly how the AI reached its conclusion.
Okay, I can see why that would be important.
Yeah, so doctors can trust the process, understand the reason.
Absolutely.
This transparency is key for building that confidence we were talking about.
Right.
Making sure AI is used responsibly in healthcare.
Yeah.
But the big question is, how well does it actually perform?
That's what we're all wondering.
That's what we're going to explore next.
Okay, listeners, stay tuned because we're going to put MEDDxAgent to the test.
Yeah, we'll see if it lives up to all the hype.
We'll be right back. All right, so we've covered how this MEDDxAgent works, the different parts, and how it kind of tries to think like a doctor.
Yep.
But how does it do in the real world?
Right.
You mentioned they created a whole new benchmark to test these AI diagnostic systems, right?
That's right. They wanted to make sure they weren't using just any old data set.
Right.
So they built a comprehensive benchmark.
Okay.
They included a whole bunch of conditions,
Right.
respiratory diseases,
Mhm.
skin diseases,
Mhm.
and even rare diseases.
So they really threw everything at it.
Yeah, pretty much. They wanted to see how MEDDxAgent would handle different kinds of challenges.
So what happened? What were the results like?
The results are really impressive, actually.
Right.
They found that MEDDxAgent consistently outperforms systems that need a complete patient profile up front.
Okay, so other systems need all the information right away.
Yeah, they need everything from the start. But that's not really how things work in real life, is it?
No, not at all. A doctor usually starts with some basic information and then asks questions,
Exactly.
to get a better picture. It's a process, like we were talking about with the history-taking simulator.
Exactly. And that's what makes MEDDxAgent so unique. It thrives in that interactive setting
Okay.
where information comes in bits and pieces, just like in a real conversation between a doctor and a patient.
That makes sense. So it's not just about having all the data. It's about knowing the right questions to ask.
Exactly. It's about refining your understanding as you go along.
And learning as you go, like a doctor would. But no system is perfect, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the limitations they found with MEDDxAgent?
You bring up a good point. Every technology has its limitations.
Of course.
And MEDDxAgent is no exception. One thing the researchers pointed out is that their evaluation focused mainly on using large language models, specifically ones like Llama and GPT-4.
Right, which are some of the most powerful AI models out there right now.
Yeah, exactly.
So I could see how that could be a limitation in a way.
Yeah, their findings might not necessarily translate to every single AI system out there.
Yeah.
Different AI architectures might have different strengths and weaknesses.
When it comes to something as complex as medical diagnosis, for sure. So I guess it's important to remember that not all AI is created equal. What are some other things they need to consider moving forward?
Well, one big one is language.
Okay.
Their research was mainly done using English language medical data.
Which makes sense, I guess, since a lot of medical research is published in English.
Yeah, exactly.
But that doesn't reflect the real world.
No, not at all.
I mean, people speak so many different languages.
Right. And diagnosing a disease often involves understanding those subtle nuances of language and culture.
Yeah, for sure.
An AI system trained only on English might miss something important or misinterpret something when faced with a patient who speaks another language.
That's a great point. It seems like we need more research on how to develop AI that can work across different languages and cultures.
Absolutely. We can't have an AI doctor that only speaks one language.
Right, exactly. What about other types of information?
Well, there's also the issue of multimodality.
Okay.
Medical diagnosis isn't just about text-based information.
Right.
Doctors consider all sorts of factors.
Like medical images, for example?
Exactly, things like that. Lab test results, even a patient's genetic information.
The whole picture.
Yeah, it all plays a role.
It's more than just words on a page.
Right. And right now, MEDDxAgent is mostly focused on analyzing text.
Okay.
So there's definitely a huge opportunity to make it even more powerful by teaching it to understand these different types of data.
Right, so it's like giving the AI doctor all the tools a human doctor would use. Imagine an AI that could analyze a patient's medical history, their lab results, their scans, even their family history.
Yeah, that would be truly revolutionary.
Yeah.
It could lead to even more accurate and personalized diagnoses.
Which is what we're all hoping for, right?
Exactly. That's the ultimate goal.
It's pretty exciting to think about. But I'm also thinking about the challenges, It's hard to imagine AI completely replacing human doctors, even with all these advancements.
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, and that's what we'll delve into in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll explore what the future might hold for AI-powered diagnostics and what it could mean for doctors, patients, and the entire healthcare system.
All right, I'm ready for part 3. We've spent the last 2 parts of this deep dive really digging into MEDDxAgent, this AI system that, could really change how doctors diagnose diseases. It's powerful stuff.
It is.
But it makes you think, right?
It does.
Like, what does this mean for the future of healthcare?
Yeah, that's what makes this research so interesting, I think.
Right.
Makes us think about the bigger picture.
The big questions.
Yeah, the ones that are hard to answer.
So let's just tackle them head on.
Okay.
One that's been on my mind is the impact on doctors.
Right.
Like, will this AI make their jobs easier or harder? Will it replace them altogether?
That's the big question everyone's asking.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't think anyone has a crystal ball.
Right.
But we can look at some of the possibilities.
Okay, yeah.
Some experts think AI could automate a lot of the routine tasks,
Okay.
the everyday stuff that doctors do.
So they have more time for the harder cases.
Exactly. Freeing up doctors to focus on the more complex cases that really need their expertise.
That makes sense. So it's not about replacing doctors. It's more about giving them a tool
Yeah.
to help them be even better at what they do.
Exactly. It's about enhancing those human capabilities, not replacing them.
I like that. That's reassuring because, let's face it, some things AI just can't do. Like the human connection, the empathy a doctor brings.
Right.
That's irreplaceable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have to remember that healthcare is about humans caring for humans.
Yeah.
And technology can support that process.
Of course.
Make it more efficient, more accurate.
Right.
But it can never truly replace that human element.
I agree. Okay, so AI might not be putting doctors out of a job anytime soon,
Right.
but it's definitely going to change how they work.
Yeah.
What about from the patient's point of view? How will this affect them?
Well, I think the biggest thing is faster and more accurate diagnoses.
Oh, wow.
Imagine getting a diagnosis within minutes of seeing a doctor,
Yeah,
instead of waiting days or weeks for test results.
that'd be amazing.
It'll be huge.
All that stress of waiting and wondering.
Exactly. And it's not just about speed. It's about getting it right.
Right. Accuracy is key.
Exactly. And that brings us to another potential benefit: personalized medicine.
Okay.
AI can analyze a patient's genes, their medical history, even their lifestyle.
To come up with a plan that's just for them?
Yeah, to create a treatment plan that's specifically designed for them.
That's like the future of medicine, right?
It is. It's the holy grail.
Wow.
Treating each patient as an individual.
Yeah.
Not just a collection of symptoms.
And AI could help us get there.
I think so.
But I mean, it's not all perfect.
Right, you're right. There are always downsides to consider.
With any new technology.
Exactly.
So what should we be cautious about?
One of the biggest concerns is becoming too reliant on AI.
Okay.
If doctors become too dependent on it, they might start to lose some of their critical thinking skills.
That's like using GPS all the time.
Yeah.
You forget how to read a map.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
We need to use AI as a tool,
right?
Not a crutch.
Doctors have to be able to question the AI.
Exactly.
To use their own judgment.
Think critically.
So it's all about finding that balance,
Yeah.
giving human expertise and this incredible technology.
Right.
Making sure AI enhances human doctors, not replaces them.
Absolutely. And this brings us back to that big question we asked earlier.
Yeah, the big one.
Could AI ever fully replace human doctors?
Will it always be a team effort?
Yeah.
I think that's something we'll keep asking as AI keeps getting better.
For sure.
But, I mean, this research gives us a glimpse of what's possible.
It does.
A future where AI helps us diagnose and treat diseases in ways we can't even imagine right now.
It's exciting and a little bit scary all at the same time.
It is. What do you think our listeners should take away from all of this?
I think the biggest takeaway is that healthcare is about to change in a big way.
Yeah.
AI has the potential to revolutionize things.
How we diagnose and treat diseases.
But we have to approach it carefully and responsibly.
We need to talk about the benefits and the risks.
That's so?
The ethics, you know? How do we make sure this technology helps everyone?
Those are the important questions.
And I think this deep dive has given us all a lot to think about.
Yeah, the possibilities and the challenges.
So thanks for joining us on this journey. It's been fascinating.
I really enjoy it.
And we hope you found it informative and thought-provoking.
Me too.
And, you know, listeners, until next time, keep asking questions.
Yeah.
Keep exploring and keep learning.